Hello, everyone. Jeff the Traveler here. Right now, I'm out at the Goldfield Ghost Town Mine and Tours out here on Apache Trail in Arizona. And we're going to take a little tour today, and I'll let you see what's up. And let me go ahead and spin the camera here. Well, the little water tower there says Goldfield, 1893. Maybe once we get inside, we'll have, oops, watch for traffic. Yeah, well, as I was saying before, I was almost run over. Once we get inside, maybe there'll be some pamphlets and I'll be able to give you a little more information on the mine and the town. Interesting. It ought to be fun, though. Come along, enjoy the ride. Or the walk, as long as I don't get you too dizzy. Well, they have a campground over here. I wonder how much it is. Yeah, first thing we come to once we start in, which is totally free by chance, is a little train station, and I already seen them giving rides, so we'll have to check that out. Stuff's not too expensive. I might take partake of a little bit of things. Huh? Okay, my friends, I'm outside the train depot here. $10 for senior citizens, and $12 for regular, and $10 for kids or something like that. And I'm standing in front of the unknown prospectors monument, I guess. It says just rest in peace. I don't know how well you can see it, but we go down here and show you the train station. And don't forget, I'm new with this iPhone recording, so when it doesn't come out, don't yell at me too bad. I'm sensitive. Okay, you know what? Before we do that, now that I've turned the camera, let me walk back up here and show you this unknown prospector's headstone, I guess. Now, let's walk on back down here. Show you a little bit of the train station. Southern Pacific. Oh, here comes the train. Okay, walk across here real quick while we're waiting to get on the train. See what this little plaque says. Okay, as usual, you can always pause it and read that a little bit later on yourself. Okay, let's get over here before we miss the train.
Well, good afternoon and welcome aboard the Superstition Scenic Railroad. My name is Bruce and I'll be your engineer, conductor, gate man, brake man, tour guide, chief, cook, and bottle washer. By the way, feel free to stand up and stretch your legs, turn around whenever you'd like. We'll start off with a little bit about this mountain off to the right of the train. That, my friends, is the western face of the Superstition Mountain Range. It's about 5,000 feet above sea level up on the top, and geologists tell us it was formed 30 million years ago at the edge of a volcanic caldera. Today, the entire range is 250 square miles of federally protected wildland area. Now, a little bit about these great big tall cactus with all the arms that you see all around town. Those are giant saguaro, and they only grow here in the Sonoran Desert. They can live to be 250 years old, and they don't get their first arm until they're 50 to 80 years old. On the left, we have chain fruit cholla, with all the green fruit hanging off of it. They're also known as the jumping cactus, because some people think that you don't even have to touch one to get stuck to it. You just have to get close enough and it'll touch you. Also on the left side, up on this little hill by the saloon, you'll see some smaller cactus that look like Mickey Mouse ears. Those are prickly pear. And they produce a fruit that is used to make all sorts of jams and jellies and candy and syrup and ice cream and even margaritas, believe it or not. On the right-hand side, we have an old steel head frame from the early 1900s. They would haul the ore up out of the mine shaft in that bucket, and then they dump the bucket down that chute to fill up the ore cars. And then they'd haul the ore cars off to the stamp mill, where they would crush and pulverize the ore to separate the rock from the gold. Now, just as we pass this telephone pole on the right, if you take a look out that way, you'll see a great big hole in the ground. That is the Wasp mine, and it's one of the big 4 underground mines. But today it's a strip mine because the family bought the claim in 1982 and reopened it and began strip mining down there. And within a couple of years, they had managed to pull about $500,000 worth of gold ore out of that hole in the ground. That same family still owns that claim, and you'll see them down there still working on it once in a while. Also off to the right, out by that old dump truck, you'll notice a couple of smokestacks sticking up between those concrete walls. Those are coal-fired steam boilers. And they're out there because everything used to run on steam out here. All the drills and jackhammers and compressors and pumps and hoists and winches were all steam powered. Those particular boilers may have powered the main shaft and the head frame of the Mammoth mine, which is the second of the big 4 underground mines we'll talk about. The Mammoth was by far the largest and most productive mine in the whole district. It was also the deepest. The main shaft went down more than 1,000 feet below the surface. As we come out from under the trestle here, the Mammoth was located out behind that pile of dirt with the ore car in front of it. The third underground mine is the Black Queen, and that's out there behind that gray building with the reddish colored roof. Now back in the day, there were more than 100 separate mining claims out here, but they were all surface mines. And what that meant for the miners was they would locate their claim and come out here with their picks and shovels and scrape and scratch at the surface, never more than 10 feet deep. They would gather all the ore they could, and then they'd have to move on and try to find another claim. But eventually, a man showed up from Colorado. He was a mining engineer and an investor, and he knew all about underground mining. And he looked around down here, and he liked what he saw on the surface, so he bought the 4 biggest claims there were, and he converted all 4 of them to underground mines. And that's what really started the gold boom out here, was underground mining, because it was much more efficient and profitable than surface mining. The 4th one of those underground mines was called the Bulldog. And I don't know if you can see it yet. It's out ahead of the train, beyond those power lines, on the left end of those low hills out there, where that great big boulder is sticking up. And they say that that boulder used to actually look like the head of a bulldog, until one day some of the miners got a little rambunctious, and they went up there to play with their dynamite, and they wound up blowing the whole face right off that boulder. There may have been some liquor involved. Nobody knows, because they never got caught. Now, if you look over to your left, you'll get a lovely view of our town with the Superstition Mountains in the background. They say that prospecting actually started out here in the 1880s, but it was a very dangerous proposition, and very few people were brave enough to try it, because back then the Apaches were still raiding, and they really didn't appreciate strangers out here on their ancestral land. But by 1891, things had calmed down quite a bit, and word had got back to civilization about all the gold strikes that were happening out here. And people all of a sudden just started flooding into the town. Everybody was coming from everywhere to see if they could get their hands on a little bit of that gold. And the town just grew and grew very rapidly, until at one point there were 3 saloons operating up there, along with about 30 other businesses. They had the mercantile store, of course, and the blacksmith shop and the livery stable. They had a butcher shop and a barber shop. They even had a 1-room school for the kids. The population at that time got to be up around 1,500 people. And of the 1,500, only about 500 or so were the miners and their families. And the miners and their families didn't live in the town. They lived all around the town, in the surrounding desert out here, in canvas-walled tents, which must have been pretty tough when it's 120 degrees out and there's no air conditioning and hardly any water. And then in 1893, the town was still growing. The postmaster at Mesa City, realized that they had been sending lots and lots of mail and freight back and forth between here and there on the stagecoach. And he sent somebody out to investigate. And that person came back and told them that there were now more than enough people and businesses out here to support a post office of our own. So in 1893, Goldfield got a U.S. post office, and that same year, only a month or two later, the town was granted the charter that it had applied for. And that charter meant that we were now an officially recognized city out here in the Arizona Territory. Keep in mind that this is all almost 2 decades before Arizona even became a state. That didn't happen until 1912. Well, things went along really wonderfully for a few years. Everybody was making tons of money, the businesses and the miners alike. But then something happened up at the Mammoth that really changed the future of the town forever. It seems that the miners, being miners, were drilling and blasting and trying to extend their tunnel a little farther out along the ore body, when one day they drilled and blasted their way straight into the side of a huge underground lake. And that lake flowed into the mine like a mighty river and flooded it almost up to the surface level. Well, nobody drowned that day. All the miners managed to get out somehow. I think it's because there was nobody on the 1,000-foot level. But they all managed to scramble up to the surface and escape. But things looked really bad for the mine. They tried to pump all that water back out, but no matter what they did or how many pumps they put on the task, the water just kept flowing in faster than they could get rid of it. And eventually they had to decide that there was nothing left to be done for the mine. The only option they had left was just to shut it down, abandon it, and move on.
Hi there, this is Bruce, the engineer. Superstition Scenic Railroad.
Great. Thanks, Bruce. Good job. All right, everybody. That was a train ride. Let's get on down the road now. And need to find something to drink. A little thirsty out here today. So, it's a pretty long video of the train ride. Lots of information. We'll see what we can edit in and edit out. Try not to put you all to sleep. Oh, there's a little bush out back that way. Yeah. All right, ladies and gentlemen, it's time for us to get on out of here. It was a nice walk around. Did stop in some shops, and I did buy something. Bought a salve for bug bites and rashes and things of that nature. It was not too long ago I was bitten by something and had a horrible reaction and really couldn't find anything to take care of it, but I did this time. And in future videos, if it works well, because I ever get bit again like that, I will let everybody know where they can go to get some. It's a little apothecary cat. Uh, how do you say that? Apothecary shop here in Goldfield Mine, Arizona, out on Apache Pass Road. And but they do sell things on the internet. So let me get on off of here. And as always, you have a good day, have a good month, have a good year, have a good life. Jeff the Traveler, out of here.